My name is Tyler KINE. This is my client, Judith Castro. She's 19 years old. She's never exercised before. This is week 2 of her 6-week exercise program. Her SMART goals are to show up to work out consistently every time, 3 days a week for 6 weeks. This is week 2, so we're still going to be working on correcting some imbalances and teaching her how to properly engage her core and maintain a neutral spine. You turn to the side for me, Judy. She has a little bit of anterior shoulder rotation. Her shoulders rotate in, and they do lift up a little. So we're going to try and rotate those down and back and teach her some proper scapular retraction. And her pelvis also anterior tilts. She has a bit of tilt going on here, so we're going to try and loosen up her flexors and teach her to tighten up her posterior chain, use her glutes and her hamstrings. The exercises she'll be doing, it'll consist of three different sections: mobility and a stretching section. We'll stretch out our very tight areas. We're not going to stretch everything. We don't want everything to be loose, just certain areas. Then we'll work on stability and balance, and then we'll have a strengthening and conditioning section where we'll do a very light Metcon at an RP of 6.5. So this Metcon metabolic conditioning workout, she'll just keep working for 25 minutes, and we'll take you through everything she's going to do. All right, I've got my client Judith here on the foam roller. The first myofascial release that she will perform will be on her anterior deltoid. She'll hit both sides. She'll find a trigger point. Go ahead and find that trigger point, Judy, and she'll stay on it for 30 seconds to 2 minutes. We'll keep her on it about a minute. We'll do both sides of her shoulders. Then we'll move on to the next point. Judy, go ahead and put that roller on your hip flexor. Hop off. Her flexor. Placing that right here in the groin region. The flexor is that tight band of tissue that is involved in lifting that leg. She's going to hold that, find the other trigger and hold. She'll do the same, hold for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, hitting both sides. And then we'll finally hit her calves. Judy, hop up. Good job. Go ahead and place that under your calf. Same thing. Typically the trigger point for this one could be towards the middle of the calf. She'll check around this area. Go ahead and look for me. When she finds that point, she'll cross one leg over and she'll hold on that spot until she feels that muscle release. We'll go ahead and move on to our next section. So here I have my client Judith on the floor. She's going to progress through 3 stretches to open up her hip flexors, and then 3 stretches to help open up her shoulders and prevent any impingement. Her first stretch will be a lying flexor stretch. Go ahead and pull your knee towards your chest. She's going to maintain that neutral lumbar, keeping her glutes and her core engaged. And she's going to pull that. Go ahead and give that another touch. Pull it up, and she'll hold that stretch 30 seconds to 1 minute, 2 repetitions on each side. We'll move on to her next stretch. Judy, go ahead and support yourself with this chair. She'll make a square with her front leg. Step back just a bit, step back just a bit. Make sure this angle, clients oftentimes don't know when they're just starting out if they're in the right position, so always correct them. Grab that foot, and she'll maintain that neutral spine while stretching out the quadriceps. Very good. Then she'll do that for 30 seconds to 1 minute, 2 repetitions. Go ahead and lay back down, Judith. The third stretch I'll have her go through, it's called a 90-90 supine stretch. She's going to work on opening up the hip flexors in the lateral movements, so this will help her with side-to-side movements. Go ahead and push that over here. Her transverse plane. Good. And she'll hold that. She'll hold that stretch. Her knees should be 9 degrees. That's okay though. She really wants to get this open. She'll do that 30 seconds to a minute. Same number of repetitions. Then we'll work on opening her shoulders. All right, next guys, I'll have her working on opening up her anterior capsule of her shoulders. She's going to work on this. She's going to make a square with her arm, keep her shoulders from rising up. We want to keep those shoulders down and back, keep them packed. Make a right angle, and she's going to stretch. She should feel a stretch in her anterior deltoid. She'll do 2 repetitions, 30 seconds to a minute for each one. Then she'll stretch her inferior capsule. So Judy, go ahead and grab her arm. She'll pull that. She'll pull on that elbow. She should feel a stretch in her triceps, and she should feel her shoulders opening up as well. That should be held for 30 seconds to a minute as well. 2 repetitions each side. And then we'll move on to the tabletop kneeling stretch. This should help her lats. Once again, we'll be working on the tabletop stretch. This is going to stretch out her lats. Go ahead and kneel for me, Judy. Place your hands on top of there. Sit back, and she's going to maintain that neutral spine. Judy, go ahead and kick your knees back further for me. Very good. Lean back. There we are. Maintain that neutral spine. And she wants to feel that stretch in her lats. 30 seconds to a minute. 2 repetitions each side. We'll now move on to her mobility and balance section. Our next section will have our client working on stability as well as balance. One way to make sure that they're stable and their core is engaged is to have them perform band walks. Judy's going to walk towards me, making sure to resist the band. She's going to engage her glutes and her core. She'll walk in reverse as well. She'll do 20 yards forward, 20 yards reverse. I'll have the client also work in a diagonal direction. So walk towards me diagonally, Judy. Good, very good. Resisting that band, keep the knees from collapsing in. Waking those glutes up. She'll also do the same in reverse. Go ahead. 20 yards forward, 20 yards reverse. Also make sure their toes stay pointed straight. A lot of times one toe will kick out. And then Judy, go ahead and face the camera for me. So do lateral walks. Once again, toes will face the wall in front of her. Engaging the glutes, engaging the core, keeping that tilt correct, keeping that posture correct. Very good. She'll walk the other direction, and then we'll move on to our balance. All right, next I'll have my client working on standing ankle mobilization. She's going to feel a stretch in her planted calf. She's going to lift whichever foot she feels comfortable lifting, and she's going to swing that leg out and swing it back in. Maintaining that planted foot should help mobilize this ankle down here, as well as open up her hip flexors. She'll have her perform that. You'll have them perform that at a 1-0-1 tempo, so no pause at the top. We'll do 10 repetitions, 2 sets. For the next balance portion of our exercise, we're going to have Judy working on single leg stands. She's going to try to prevent her hips from shifting laterally, and she's going to pretend there's a line attached from her fingers down to the floor. She doesn't want those hips to move. Judy, go ahead and engage your core and hip hinge. Shift that weight down to your glutes. Lift one foot off the ground. She's going to try to prevent that from tilting and maintain that. 5 seconds, foot back down. She'll lift for 5 seconds, foot back down. 10 repetitions, 2 steps on each side. We'll move on to the next movement. For our final stability and balance movement, we're going to be working on a half kneeling lunge rise. This will emphasize the concentric portion of a lunge. For the concentric portion, I'm going to have Judy's hands off. She's going to work on maintaining a neutral spine. She's going to lift herself up, squeezing her glutes. Very good. And she's going to come back down, supporting herself with her hand. So we emphasize that concentric portion of the movement. Very good. Maintaining that spine. Keep that core engaged. She'll do that for 10 repetitions, 2 sets each side. For the first movement in our Metcon, we're going to be working on glute bridges. She's going to do 2-leg bridges. She could progress to single-leg bridges as well, but for now we'll just work on 2. Judy's going to rise her hips. She's going to bring her hips up. She's going to squeeze her glutes and engage her core. Come back down for me. Come up for a count of 2. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. Down for a count of 1. Up for a count of 2. 1,000, 2, 1,000, down for 1. It's going to help correct any anterior pelvic tilts you may have. Move on to the next exercise. The next exercise in our Metcon will consist of 30 seconds per side of fire hydrants. Judy's going to maintain that neutral spine. She's going to engage her core, and she's going to lift her leg out to her side. This should also help open up her flexors while at the same time helping correct that anterior pelvic tilt, strengthening her core. Very good. Make sure you lift that leg up back here more. Don't let the client hike their leg up. You want it more out to your side. Lift that for me again, Judy. Want it more back here. Very good. We'll move on to the next exercise. For the next movement in our Metcon, our client is already, as you can see, she's performing pelvic floor as well as TVA contractions. She'll inhale, and she's going to pull air into her belly. And on the exhale, she's attempting to squeeze her pelvic floor. Those are the muscles that control urinary flow, as well as her TVA. She's going to squeeze her lower abdomen on the exhale. Inhale and exhale. She's going to try and prevent her ribs from flaring out. This station will also be for 1 minute. Very good. And she'll make sure her toes are lined up with her knees, just like we do with everything. Very good. For the fourth exercise in our Metcon, we're going to work on rocking quadrupeds. This should promote thoracic and hip mobility while she maintains a neutral lumbar spine. She's already got that spine in a neutral position. Very good. She's going to lean forward really slow. She's going to have to engage her core to keep that neutral spine. Very good. And she'll lean back. Go and lean back. She'll lean back for a count of 2. Lean forward for a count of 2. Lean back for me. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. Good. Come back forward, Judy. She could eventually progress into extending an arm and a leg while rocking, but we'll avoid that at this time. And she's going to be working on, once again, her hip and her thoracic mobility. We'll move on to the fifth exercise. For my client's final exercise, we're going to have them working on prone arm lifts. They're going to do this in an I to a Y to a W to O pattern. They're going to hold that for a count of 5 on each contraction. So, and their elbows are slightly bent. For the first one, we'll make an I. Go ahead and do your I, Judy. Elbows slightly bent. She retracts her scapula. Pinch my finger. Shoulders stay packed down and back. Very good. Come down. Now you make a Y for me, Judy. Go ahead and pack your shoulders for me. Pack them down and back. Very good. Making that Y. Elbows up a little more. Very good. Hold for 5. Then down. Then she'll make a W. Make a W for me. Same concept. Elbows will be out a little more. Squeeze my finger. Very good. Retracting that scapula. And now she's going to make an O. She'll bring her fingers, interlock them. Very good. She's going to pull back, retract her scapula. Once again, shoulders are down and back. This should help correct that anterior rotation that she has. That'll be the final movement in our Metcon. Once again, that was about 25 minutes at an RPE of 6.5. To wrap things up, most of the movements we did today were done from a prone or lying position or kneeling position due to the current phase my client's in. She'll eventually hopefully move on to loaded movements such as squats, deadlifts, lots of fun stuff. Judy, how do you feel after your exercise?
Great.
She feels great. She feels great. She's got her own homework to do. So thank you for your time. I hope y'all enjoy this presentation.